All right.
Alright, so everyone, imagine that you're 6 years old and you're witnessing your parents being mentally, physically, and abusive towards each other. How is this making you feel? Exactly. 3 to 4 million children in America are facing this problem of child abuse. It's affecting our society because these children are growing up to be or doing exactly what they're seeing their parents do. So, my name is Ayamba, this is Jaime, Alex, Kelsey, and Kaitlin, and our problem is domestic violence among children.
Okay, so domestic violence when children are witnessing this causes many feelings for the child like fear, guilt, and shame. So these feelings are because they are watching their parents be violent, and these feelings are also psychologically shown to be prominent feelings in being violent. So if the same feelings that are caused from seeing violence also cause violence, you can see where an endless cycle is created. So our problem is that children are not receiving any follow-up after being removed from a domestically violent environment, having mental and emotional effects on the child, and a cycle of violence is created. So we spoke to some people from the AVFC, which is a domestic violence shelter for children, and they stated that 73% of children that they see show violent behavior. So that's obviously a very large majority of children, and they also don't see any children over the age of 12. So those are really young children who are already showing signs of violence, and they don't follow up with these children. So whether they're in their shelter for a day, a week, a month, whatever, when they leave, they're gone. And so obviously these children, these same feelings stay with these children. So we want to bring a service called Division for Children to break this cycle in society. It would be a required service. It would be an 8-week program that the children go through. They'll explain it a little more in depth later in the presentation. But it's not a one-size-fits-all approach, so it would be different for every child. But professionals would be hired, like psychologists and social workers, to cater to each child's specific needs. And currently there are no follow-up approaches that are required. So there are ways that people, don't want to be a part of these follow-ups if they're suggested, but it might cost money to the families or whatever. So like I mentioned, these effects, emotional effects, stay with the child. Massachusetts actually has a program that they are starting to do. It's not required, but it's a follow-up with people who have been exposed to violence, and over 50% of the people who receive follow-up no longer showed violent behavior that showed it before they went into the program.
Okay, so for a sample session to just kind of give you an idea of like how this would go down if it really was to be implemented, if there was, let's say, like a 3-year-old child that was exposed to a violent environment with their parents, we would psychiatrists would step in, and they could either play games with them or have human-to-human like interaction with them and evaluate them and determine whether or not they show those like signs of violent behavior to like continue that cycle. And if they do, then they can take the steps to get rid of those behaviors to kind of fix that problem. And also, if you were to have like a 16-year-old child, obviously the same activities that you would do with them would be completely different. So for like a 3-year-old child, you could do like games with them and just kind of interact with them by playing. You wouldn't really be able to talk to them a whole lot, but if you were to have like a 16-year-old or a 15-year-old, you could maybe like take them out to eat and have like that human interaction and just kind of one-on-one and build that trust with them to be able to evaluate them better.
So our service is a requirement, which I think it really differentiates us from a CPS or a DCS, and we don't want to see any children left behind in these situations. And we'd like to see this become a law in that. And I think the value that we're adding is that we really want to begin to repair the relationship between the parents and the child, and not just remove them from the situation, but really attend to their emotional needs, or whatever it may be. And we want to break the cycle of violence, of children believing that violence is an effective way to solve their problems and issues. So the Department of Child Services has a multiple response system that is a program that really focuses on reconciling the parents together, but doesn't have a lot of focus on the children, and that's where we want to come in and work alongside of them and really have a focus on the children, and they more focus on the parents. So kind of going off of that, so we're Vision for Children, DCS and CPS, all of us require a visit immediately after the complaint. That's just a one-time visit, and all three of us focus on the family as a whole, but what really differentiates us, as I said before, is that we are focusing on the child's emotional needs, and we're not just following up with them one time. It's not a one-time thing, but we want to continuously follow up with them to break that cycle and really repair that relationship with the parents. So our value proposition for children who are exposed to violence in their household and receive no help or follow-up, Vision for Children is an organization which reaches out to children following an abusive scenario. And unlike these other services, we follow up with the children to prevent future abusive behaviors, to break that cycle that we were talking about. And we really care about these children, and their families are required to complete this service.
So I'm kind of going to walk you through our business model canvas. So starting with our key partners, kind of mentioned before, we're going to be partnering with DCS to kind of allow them to focus more on the children instead of just the family as a whole, and kind of solving the problem temporarily for now. Also government agencies and donators, considering we will kind of be a nonprofit organization and be focusing on just bettering the children. Our key activities, basically we'd be creating sessions, engaging in the sessions, and also our employees, so that would basically be our activities, as Jaime mentioned, kind of going out with these kids, or if they need to stay in or come to our organization, or if they should leave the organization, whatever would be best for them. Also our key resources, which kind of tie into our key activities, would be our partnerships. We need professionals to come in, psychiatrists, just different people to come in and kind of implement these activities either within our building or the unique sessions. Our value proposition would be basically, like Alex explained, the follow-up to kind of prevent this cycle from continuing by engaging with these children. The customer relationships, these would be very personalized relationships we would build within the 8 weeks, and if it needed to extend past that, we would build relationships with these children specifically to kind of make them feel safe and explain what's needed to them. Customer channels, we can reach people through website, DCS, and also social media. We can connect with these kids different ways through that. And then also our target segment is obviously children and families that are involved in domestic violence. So for our cost structure, since we are going to make it required, we are going to need time to kind of present a bill and make a law enforce that if a domestic violent dispute is reported, or if you have to go through CPS, that you are required to send your child through follow-up, which is kind of what differentiates us from everyone else. So that will be kind of our cost of the time that it takes to do that. Also getting employees, and also renting out a building and getting that set up. As far as our revenue streams, we would basically, like I said, be mainly non-profit. So we would run mainly on government grants, donations, and taxes. So that's basically the setup for our business model canvas. So in conclusion, the Vision for Children, we basically be adding value to society by breaking this cycle and giving children kind of a scapegoat, and let their feelings go and let them know what is okay and what isn't okay, and it would be adding value to society by breaking this cycle. So, thank you.
All right.